standing there in my navy dress, clutching my purse as hundreds of eyes turned to me. I felt my face burn with humiliation. My son-in-law Tyler had just paused his acceptance speech, pointed me out in the crowd, and announced with a smirk, "My mother-in-law Imogene only came because she heard there would be good food." The room erupted in laughter, while my daughter Amanda stared at her shoes. 20 years of supporting them, paying their mortgage in secret. And this was my thanks. I smiled politely, but inside, I made my decision. I never expected to be widowed at 52. Henry and I had built a good life together. He was a meticulous accountant, and I had worked my way up to senior financial advisor at Madison Trust Bank. We had saved carefully, invested wisely, and planned for a comfortable retirement together. Then came the heart attack that took him from me in an instant one ordinary Tuesday morning. Amanda was 22 then, just finishing her degree in communications at State University. She was our only child, born after years of trying, our miracle baby. Henry had been so proud of her, attending every dance recital, school play, and soccer match. After his funeral, she moved back home for a while, and we grieved together. I threw myself into work, finding some solace in helping others secure their financial futures when my own personal future felt so empty. "Mom, I need you to meet someone special," Amanda said one Sunday afternoon, about 8 months after her father died. Her eyes sparkled in a way I hadn't seen since before Henry's passing. "His name is Tyler Harper. He works in finance, too, at Meridian Financial. We've been dating for a few weeks." Tyler was 32 to Amanda's 23, handsome with perfectly styled brown hair and a confident smile that showed off expensive dental work. He arrived at our house with a bottle of wine that cost more than it should have, and complimented everything from my landscaping to my furniture. "Mrs. Caldwell, Amanda tells me you're quite the financial wizard," he said, swirling his wine glass. "I'm just starting out at Meridian, but I have big plans." Something about Tyler made me uneasy from the beginning. Maybe it was the way his eyes constantly assessed everything around him, calculating its value. Or perhaps it was how he talked over Amanda, answering questions I had directed at her. "Tyler thinks I should apply for the marketing coordinator position at Meridian," Amanda told me excitedly after dinner. "We could work at the same company. Wouldn't that be amazing?" I smiled and nodded, but internally I worried. It seemed fast, this whirlwind romance. Henry would have asked more questions, done some gentle digging into Tyler's background. I tried to channel my late husband's cautious nature. "How did you two meet?" I asked Tyler. "Office mixer," he answered smoothly. "One look at your daughter, and I knew she was special. The way she lit up the room, I had to know her." Amanda beamed at him, clearly smitten. Later, when I helped her with dishes, I tried to strike a balance between motherly concern and respecting her as an adult. "He seems very ambitious," I said carefully. "He's going places, Mom. His boss already has his eye on him for advancement, and he says I have real potential in corporate communications." 3 months later, they were engaged. 6 months after that, they were married in a ceremony far more lavish than they could afford. I contributed significantly, but quietly, wanting Amanda's day to be special while respecting their desire to appear independent. "We found the perfect house," Amanda called me, just 2 weeks after returning from their honeymoon. "It's in Oak Ridge Estates. 3 bedrooms, beautiful kitchen with granite countertops, backyard big enough for future grandchildren." I knew Oak Ridge Estates. The homes there started at $400,000. On her entry-level marketing salary and his junior financial analyst position, they couldn't possibly afford it. But before I could voice concerns, Amanda continued. "Tyler says we need to stretch a little now for the future. His boss practically guaranteed him a promotion within the year. We just need a little help with the down payment." That little help turned out to be $80,000. I provided it, telling myself it was an investment in their future, money Henry and I had saved for Amanda anyway. But 6 months into their mortgage, I received a panicked call from my daughter. "Mom, I don't know what to do," Amanda sobbed. "The mortgage payment is due tomorrow and we're short. Tyler's commission check is delayed, and my car needed emergency repairs last week." I transferred the money immediately. The following month, another crisis arose. By the third month, I realized this wasn't temporary. Without telling Amanda, I went to their bank and arranged to cover their mortgage payments automatically each month. When I tentatively suggested to Amanda that perhaps they had purchased more house than they could afford, she became defensive. Tyler says real estate is the best investment. He knows what he's doing, Mom. He deals with finance every day. It was during a Sunday dinner at their house, about a year into this arrangement, that I discovered something troubling. Tyler had stepped outside to take a phone call, and Amanda was sharing some news about work. Tyler told me we should stop accepting your help with the mortgage, she said casually, arranging salad on plates. He says we need to stand on our own feet financially. I nearly dropped the water glass I was filling. He knows about that? Amanda looked confused. Of course. He said you insisted on helping, and he didn't want to refuse because it might hurt your feelings. But now that he's gotten that client bonus, we should take full responsibility. I said nothing, processing the fact that Tyler had been taking credit for my financial support while apparently positioning me as some needy mother forcing help on them. But before I could decide how to address this, Tyler returned, putting his arm around Amanda. Your mother's salad dressing is incredible, he said, kissing her cheek. You should get the recipe. I smiled, but something had shifted. The foundation of trust I thought we were building was revealed to be something much more complicated. And I began to wonder what else Tyler was misrepresenting. Over the next 5 years, Tyler's career at Meridian Financial seemed to accelerate at an almost suspicious pace. From junior analyst to team leader to department manager, each promotion came with a celebration that somehow centered entirely around him. Amanda remained in marketing but switched to part-time after a year, at Tyler's suggestion. I need to focus on networking for us, he explained at another Sunday dinner, now a monthly rather than weekly occurrence. Amanda can handle the house and social calendar while I climb the ladder. It's a partnership. My daughter, once so ambitious herself, nodded along. I bit my tongue, remembering how Henry and I had both built careers while supporting each other. But times change, I told myself. Different couples, different arrangements. What couldn't be ignored was how I was gradually being edged out of their lives. Thanksgiving at their house became Thanksgiving with Tyler's family in Boston. Christmas morning traditions gave way to exclusive couples trips to Aspen. Amanda's calls grew less frequent, and when we did talk, she seemed to be reading from a script of superficial updates. Tyler says hello, she would add at the end of calls, though I doubted he had actually said anything of the sort. Meanwhile, the financial support continued. Beyond the mortgage, there were property taxes, homeowners association fees, and the occasional emergency that required immediate cash. I never mentioned these contributions during our increasingly rare visits, honoring what seemed to be an unspoken agreement to pretend they were completely self-sufficient. One rainy Tuesday, about 4 years into their marriage, I stopped by their house unannounced with soup when Amanda texted that she had a bad cold. Tyler's car was in the driveway, though he should have been at work. I rang the doorbell and waited, then used my emergency key when no one answered. Amanda? Tyler? It's just me, Imogene, I called out, setting the soup container on their kitchen island. The house was silent. I noticed a pile of mail on the counter, and a credit card statement with Amanda's name on it lay open. I wasn't trying to snoop, but the total balance caught my eye, $38,000. The minimum payment due was over $800. I heard water running upstairs and quickly stepped away from the mail, not wanting to be caught looking at their personal information. But what I had seen troubled me deeply. On Amanda's part-time salary, and with a mortgage that stretched their budget even with my help, how were they carrying that much credit card debt? When Amanda came downstairs, she looked startled to see me. Mom, I was just about to call you. I'm feeling much better already. Where's Tyler? His car is outside. Oh, he's working from home today. Important client meeting downtown later. Her eyes darted toward the mail, and she quickly gathered it up, shoving it into a drawer. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about that credit card statement and all the money flowing from my accounts to theirs. The next morning, I called my own financial advisor, Jack Stevens. Jack, I need to talk about my current expenses and how they're affecting my retirement planning. He sounded concerned. Of course, Imogene. Is there something specific worrying you? I took a deep breath. I've been paying my daughter and son-in-law's mortgage for the past 5 years, plus property taxes, homeowner's insurance, and some other expenses. The silence on the other end of the line spoke volumes. Imogene, we should meet in person. How soon can you come in? The meeting with Jack was a wake-up call. The spreadsheets showed in black and white how my retirement savings were being depleted at an alarming rate. At this pace, you'll outlive your money, Jack said gently. Is there an end date to this support? I had no answer. What had started as temporary help had become a seemingly permanent arrangement. Yet, despite my generosity, I was being increasingly excluded from their lives. A week later, I received an embossed invitation to a corporate event at Meridian Financial. Tyler had been promoted to Vice President of Client Relations, and there would be a formal dinner to celebrate. I immediately called Amanda. Of course we want you there, Mom, she said, though something in her tone suggested otherwise. It's at the Grand Summit Hotel. Very fancy. Tyler has to give a speech and everything. I spent far too much on a new navy dress and silver heels, had my hair professionally styled, and even splurged on a makeup session at the department store. This was an important night for them, and I wanted to look my part as the supportive mother and mother-in-law. 2 nights before the big event, I joined Amanda and Tyler for dinner at their house to congratulate him in person. They were drinking champagne when I arrived. To the youngest VP in Meridian history, Amanda toasted, gazing adoringly at Tyler. And to the house in Lakeside we can finally afford, Tyler added with a wink. My heart sank. Another house? One they surely couldn't afford without my continued support? Later, as Amanda cleared dishes, Tyler stepped into the hallway to take a phone call. I wasn't trying to eavesdrop, but his voice carried clearly into the kitchen where I was putting leftovers into containers. Just keep her at the back tables with your aunts, he was saying quietly. The CEO doesn't need to meet everyone in your family tree. We'll put her to good use when we need the down payment for that vacation home. I froze, container in hand, as I realized he was talking about me. The mother-in-law who paid his mortgage was being relegated to the back of the room, out of sight until needed for the next financial contribution. The container trembled in my hands, sauce threatening to spill over. Amanda returned, took one look at my face, and knew I had heard something. Mom, are you okay? I forced a smile. Just tired, sweetheart. So proud of Tyler. And you, of course. As I drove home that night, I realized that the 5-year pattern was clear. I had become nothing more than a checkbook to them, a financial resource to be tapped while being kept at arm's length. Yet, even knowing this, I found myself reluctant to confront the situation. Amanda was my only child, my connection to Henry, my future as a grandmother someday. What if setting boundaries meant losing her entirely? So I said nothing, wrote another check, and prepared for the promotion party with a smile fixed firmly on my face. The Grand Summit Hotel lived up to its name, with soaring ceilings, crystal chandeliers, and marble floors that echoed with the click of expensive heels. The ballroom had been transformed for Meridian Financial's celebration, with blue and silver decorations, elaborate floral arrangements, and a stage where a jazz quartet played softly. I arrived early, wanting to offer any help Amanda might need. The security guard at the entrance checked his list. Imogene Caldwell? Ah, yes, here you are. Family Table 7, in the back by the kitchen doors. Table 7. The back tables Tyler had mentioned on the phone. I swallowed my pride and nodded politely, making my way through the rapidly filling room. I spotted Amanda near the stage, looking stunning in a black dress, directing staff about placement of the microphone. She waved distractedly when she saw me but didn't come over. Tyler was in his element, moving from group to group, shaking hands, laughing at jokes, clapping shoulders. He wore an expertly tailored suit that probably cost more than 3 mortgage payments. Not once did he glance in my direction or attempt to introduce me to anyone. Are you Tyler's mother? asked an older woman who took the seat next to me at table 7. Mother-in-law, I clarified. Imogene Caldwell, Margaret Peterson. My husband works in compliance. She lowered her voice. You must be so proud. Everyone's talking about how quickly Tyler has risen. Quite the golden boy. I nodded, unsure what to say. The truth was, I knew very little about Tyler's actual work performance. Our conversations had always centered around his ambitions and financial needs, never the substance of his achievements. Dinner was served, a 3-course meal that would have been delicious if not for the knot in my stomach. Throughout the meal, I watched Amanda circulate, always at Tyler's side, the perfect corporate wife. She didn't visit table 7 once. After dessert, the CEO of Meridian Financial, Harold Winters, took the stage. A distinguished man in his 60s with silver hair and the confident demeanor of someone used to power, he tapped the microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, we're here tonight to celebrate not just a promotion, but a rising star at Meridian. In just 5 years, Tyler Harper has shown extraordinary talent, dedication, and the kind of client relationship management skills that define our company culture. Applause rippled through the room. Harold continued, listing Tyler's accomplishments, most of which were news to me. And so it gives me great pleasure to officially announce Tyler's promotion to Vice President of Client Relations. Tyler, come share a few words. The room erupted in applause as Tyler bounded onto the stage, embracing Harold before taking the microphone. He thanked the CEO profusely, then his team, then several mentors he named individually. He spoke about Meridian's values and his commitment to the company's future. And of course, none of this would be possible without my beautiful wife, Amanda. He gestured to where she sat at table 1, directly in front of the stage. She's my rock, my partner in this journey, the one who keeps our home running smoothly so I can focus on building our future at Meridian. More applause. Amanda beamed up at him, blowing a kiss. Not once did he mention the financial support that had allowed them to maintain their lifestyle, the mortgage payments that ensured they kept that beautiful home he referenced. Tyler's speech continued for several minutes, full of corporate jargon and ambitious promises. I began to think I might escape the evening unmentioned, when suddenly he paused, scanning the room. Oh, and I see my mother-in-law Imogene is here tonight, he said, pointing directly at me. All heads turned in my direction. Back at table 7, a spotlight somehow found me, its bright beam making me squint. I forced a smile, gave a small wave. The mother-in-law only came because she heard there would be good food, Tyler said into the microphone, his voice teasing but with an unmistakable edge. The room erupted in laughter. I sat frozen, the spotlight still on me, my face burning with humiliation. Tyler was publicly reducing me to a stereotype, the intrusive mother-in-law only interested in free meals. Not the woman who paid his mortgage. Not the mother who had raised and supported the wife he claimed made his success possible. Certainly not a financial professional whose career had been more substantial than his current role. I maintained my smile somehow, even managed a good-natured nod as if appreciating the joke. The spotlight mercifully moved away. Tyler continued his speech, but I heard nothing over the roaring in my ears. Amanda, my own daughter, had not even flinched at his remark. She continued gazing at him adoringly, complicit in my humiliation. The speech ended to enthusiastic applause. The jazz quartet resumed playing, and people began to mingle again. I sat at table 7, wondering how soon I could leave without it seeming like an obvious reaction to Tyler's comment. That was unnecessary, Margaret Peterson murmured beside me. For what it's worth, I thought it was in poor taste. I thanked her with a nod, still not trusting my voice. After a few minutes, I excused myself to use the restroom, needing a moment alone to compose myself. In the elegant marble bathroom, I stared at my reflection. The expensive makeup session couldn't hide the hurt in my eyes or the tightness around my mouth. As I was about to leave the restroom, the door opened and 2 women entered, both young and stylishly dressed in the corporate uniform of sleek dresses and statement jewelry. They didn't notice me in the corner. Tyler killed it with that speech, said the blonde, leaning toward the mirror to reapply her lipstick. The mother-in-law joke was brutal, though, laughed her friend. Exactly like he said she would be, hovering around for the free perks. My hand froze on the bathroom door. Well, he's been complaining about her interference for years, the blonde replied. Always wanting to be involved. Offering financial advice like he doesn't know what he's doing. He said the comment was strategic, establishing boundaries, you know. He told Josh in our department he's been planning it for weeks. The public humiliation had been premeditated, a calculated move to put me in my place while cementing his image as the confident executive who could even control his family with humor. I pushed past them without a word, ignoring their startled expressions. Outside in the hallway, I took several deep breaths, fighting the urge to leave immediately. That would only make things worse, give Tyler something else to mock later. Instead, I returned to the ballroom with my head held high. I circulated, introduced myself to several of Meridian's executives, drawing on my years of professional experience to make conversation. If Tyler wanted to paint me as nothing but a stereotypical mother-in-law, I would show everyone the accomplished professional woman I actually was. After an appropriate amount of time had passed, I approached Amanda, who was standing with a group of women near the bar. "The party is lovely," I said warmly. "I should head home now, but please tell Tyler congratulations again from me." Amanda looked surprised. "You're leaving already? Is everything okay?" "Everything's fine, just a bit tired." I kissed her cheek. "Call me tomorrow?" She promised she would, though we both knew it was unlikely. As I walked through the hotel lobby toward the exit, I heard a familiar voice calling my name. I turned to see Harold Winters, the CEO, approaching. "Mrs. Caldwell, I wanted to introduce myself before you left. Amanda speaks very highly of you." His words took me by surprise. "That's kind of you to say, Mr. Winters." "Harold, please. Amanda mentioned you had quite a distinguished career in financial advising yourself." So Amanda had spoken of me, at least to some degree. This small revelation provided a tiny bit of balm to my wounded heart. "Madison Trust Bank," I confirmed. 30 years before retiring. "Impressive. We actually use Madison for some of our corporate accounts." He handed me a business card. "Perhaps you'd be willing to have lunch sometime." I'm always interested in perspective from experienced financial professionals, especially those with insight into personal client relationships. I accepted the card, thanked him, and continued to my car. As I drove home through the dark streets, I kept hearing Tyler's words echoing in my head. The mother-in-law only came because she heard there would be good food. 5 years of mortgage payments, property taxes, emergency funds. 27 years of motherhood before that. A lifetime of love for my only child. And this was how they valued me. By the time I reached my driveway, my hands had stopped shaking. The hurt remained, but something else was growing stronger with each passing minute. Resolve. Tomorrow was Saturday. Sunday would be for reflection. And Monday morning, first thing, I would visit my bank. I barely slept Friday night after the party. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the spotlight on my face, heard the room's laughter, felt the burning humiliation. By dawn, I had given up on sleep and sat in my kitchen with a cup of tea, watching the sunrise through the window. The house felt especially empty that morning. Henry had been gone 8 years now, but sometimes the absence still felt fresh. What would he have advised in this situation? Henry had been deliberate, thoughtful, never one to make rash decisions based on emotion. "Sleep on it, Jeannie," he would have said, using his nickname for me. "Then look at the facts, not just the feelings." So that's what I decided to do. After a light breakfast, I went to my home office and pulled out the accordion file where I kept records of all financial transactions with Amanda and Tyler. The file had grown thick over the years, each sheet of paper representing another check, another transfer, another withdrawal from my retirement funds. I spent Saturday creating a spreadsheet, meticulously entering every dollar I had contributed to their lives. Mortgage payments for 60 months, property taxes, homeowner's insurance, wedding contribution, house down payment, emergency car repairs, medical bills when Amanda had that health scare 3 years ago, credit card payments I had started making 6 months ago when Amanda called in tears about their minimum payments. By late afternoon, I had a final figure that made me sit back in my chair, stunned. Over the past 6 years, I had given them $342,000, more than a third of my retirement savings. At 52, when Henry died, we had been well positioned for a comfortable retirement. At 60, I was now looking at the very real possibility of financial insecurity in my later years. My phone buzzed with a text message from a friend who had attended the party. "Just checking on you, Imogene. That comment Tyler made was out of line. Are you okay?" I wasn't ready to talk about it, so I sent a brief reply thanking her for her concern. Throughout the day, 3 more friends reached out with similar messages. Word had spread about the incident, adding another layer to my humiliation. Around 7 that evening, Amanda finally called. I had been waiting all day, hoping she would acknowledge what happened, offer some explanation or apology. Instead, she launched into an excited monologue about the praise Tyler had received after his speech. "Mr. Winters personally told Tyler he's on the executive track now," she gushed. "We might be looking at COO in 5 years. Can you believe it?" "Amanda," I interrupted gently, "can we talk about what Tyler said about me during his speech?" There was a pause. "Oh, Mom, that was just Tyler being Tyler. He likes to joke around." No one took it seriously. "I did," I said quietly. It was humiliating to be singled out that way. Amanda sighed, the sound crackling through the phone. "You're being too sensitive. It was a big night for us, for Tyler especially. Could you try not to make it about you?" Her words hit like a physical blow. When had my thoughtful daughter become this dismissive person? Had it happened gradually? Or had she always had this capacity for casual cruelty that I somehow missed? "I see," I said finally. "Well, congratulations again to Tyler." "Thanks, Mom. Oh, we're heading into a dinner reservation. Talk soon." The line went dead. I sat there with the phone in my hand, feeling a strange sense of clarity wash over me. The problem wasn't just Tyler. Amanda was equally responsible for how I had been treated, and I had enabled both of them for years. Sunday, I forced myself to attend church as usual, though I sat in the back and left before the social hour. At home, I went through old photo albums, tracing Amanda's life from infancy through college graduation. The smiling girl in those photos seemed like a stranger now. In the afternoon, I called Jack Stevens again, my financial advisor. "Jack, it's Imogene. I need to make some changes to my automatic payments first thing tomorrow." "Of course. Anything serious?" "Just some overdue adjustments," I replied, not ready to share the full story. "Can you fit me in at 9? That evening, I decided to organize my home office, a task I had been putting off. In a drawer, I found a bundle of mail that had been delivered to my house by mistake months ago, addressed to Amanda and Tyler. I had meant to drop it off at their house, but had forgotten. Most of it was junk mail, but one envelope caught my attention. A statement from a bank I didn't recognize. I knew I shouldn't open mail addressed to them. But after the events of the weekend, my normal boundaries felt less relevant. The statement inside revealed a second mortgage on their house, taken out 2 years ago, for $150,000. The monthly payment was nearly $2,000, and according to the statement, they were 30 days past due. A second mortgage I knew nothing about. While I had been faithfully paying their first mortgage, they had leveraged the house further, extracting equity I had helped them build. But for what purpose? Their lifestyle was comfortable but not extravagant enough to explain this level of debt plus the credit cards. Deeper in the stack, I found an overdue notice from a casino hotel in Atlantic City. Tyler's name was on it, with an unpaid balance of $22,000. The date coincided with a business trip he had taken last year. The pieces began to fit together. The rapid career advancement that never quite made sense, the constant need for more money despite rising incomes, Tyler's insistence on handling all their finances himself. The casino bill suggested a gambling problem, something that could explain the black hole their finances seemed to represent. I sat heavily in my office chair, the statements spread before me. I had been subsidizing not just their lifestyle, but possibly an addiction. And Amanda was either complicit or willfully ignorant. Monday morning, I dressed carefully in a suit I had worn during my banking days, applied makeup to disguise my sleepless night, and drove to my bank. Jack Stevens was waiting in his office. "Good morning, Imogene. What can I help you with today?" I placed a folder on his desk. "I need to cancel all automatic payments to these accounts, effective immediately." Jack reviewed the list, his eyebrows rising slightly. "All of these? That's quite a change." "Yes, all of them. And I need to review my entire financial plan. I've been spending unsustainably." He nodded, asking no further questions as he processed my requests. By 10:30, it was done. The financial pipeline I had maintained for 6 years was closed. The mortgage payment scheduled for that day was canceled. As I drove home, I felt lighter somehow, as if I had set down a heavy burden I had been carrying too long. There would be consequences, certainly. Amanda and Tyler would be angry, hurt, possibly vindictive. But for the first time in years, I was prioritizing my own well-being over their demands. At home, I made a cup of tea and sat in my garden, enjoying the late spring flowers Henry had planted years ago. The phone rang inside, but I let it go to voicemail. This moment of peace was for me. The peace lasted exactly 26 hours. Tuesday afternoon, Amanda's car screeched into my driveway, gravel spraying as she braked hard. I watched from the kitchen window as she slammed her car door and stormed up the walk. I took a deep breath, straightened my shoulders, and opened the front door before she could ring the bell. "Amanda, this is a surprise." Her face was flushed, eyes red from either crying or anger, possibly both. "What did you do?" The mortgage payment bounced. The bank called Tyler at work. I stepped back, gesturing for her to come inside. "I think we should talk about this calmly. Would you like some tea?" "Tea? Mom, are you serious right now? We could lose our house." She followed me into the kitchen, her voice rising with each word. I filled the kettle, my movements deliberate, buying time to organize my thoughts. "Amanda, please sit down." Surprisingly, she did, collapsing into a chair at the kitchen table. I placed a mug of tea in front of her and took the seat opposite. "I've been paying your mortgage for 6 years," I said quietly. "Along with your property taxes, homeowner's insurance, and more recently, your credit card minimums. After what happened at Tyler's promotion party, I realized this arrangement isn't healthy for any of us." Amanda's expression shifted from anger to confusion. "What are you talking about? Tyler's speech? That was just a joke." It wasn't just the speech. It was being seated at the back tables. It was hearing Tyler tell you to keep me away from his boss while planning to ask for vacation home money. It was watching my only daughter stand by while I was publicly humiliated. Amanda's face paled. "You heard that? About the tables?" "I did. And then I went home and calculated exactly how much financial support I've provided over the years. Do you know the total?" She shook her head slightly. $342,000, Amanda. More than a third of my retirement savings." Her eyes widened. "That can't be right." I slid the spreadsheet across the table to her. Every payment, every transfer, every check. Dates, amounts, purposes. It's all there. She stared at the paper, then back at me. "But Tyler said you wanted to help, that you insisted because you had so much saved and wanted to see us enjoy it while you were alive instead of inheriting it later. Is that what he told you? That I insisted?" I kept my voice gentle, seeing confusion replace anger in her eyes. "Amanda, the first few times were emergencies, but then it became regular. Tyler knew I was covering the mortgage each month. He's been telling you one thing while telling me another." "No, that's not possible. Tyler wouldn't." She trailed off, doubt creeping into her voice. "He handles all our finances. He says I don't need to worry about it, that he has everything under control." I reached into my folder and pulled out the second mortgage statement and the casino bill. These were delivered to my address by mistake months ago. I found them yesterday. She took them with trembling hands. As she read, the color drained from her face. A second mortgage? But why would we need? And what's this from Atlantic City? Tyler doesn't gamble. Are you certain about that? I asked softly. Her phone rang, startling both of us. Tyler's name flashed on the screen. Amanda stared at it for a moment before answering on speaker. Did you talk to her? Tyler's voice was tight with anger. Did she agree to fix the payment? Tyler, there's some confusion about our finances I need to clarify, Amanda said carefully. Mom says she's been paying our mortgage all along, and we have a second mortgage I didn't know about. Silence on the other end, then, put Imogene on the phone. Amanda looked at me. I nodded, and she passed me the phone, taking it off speaker. This is Imogene, I said calmly. Tyler's voice was low, threatening. What do you think you're doing? Trying to drive a wedge between me and Amanda? After everything we've done for you? Letting you be part of our lives? Our success? I almost laughed at the audacity. Letting me be part of your lives? Tyler, I've been funding your lives. And now I'm stopping. You can't do that. We have commitments, plans based on your promises. I never promised lifetime financial support, Tyler. And after your public mockery of me at your promotion, I realized how little my contributions are valued. That was a joke. Everyone thought it was funny. It wasn't funny to me. Neither is discovering you took out a second mortgage on a house I've been paying for, or finding casino bills among your mail. Another silence. When he spoke again, his voice had changed, becoming silky, persuasive. Imogene, I think we've had a misunderstanding. Why don't we discuss this in person, as family should? I'm done discussing, Tyler. The financial support has ended. What you tell Amanda about that is your business, but I hope it's the truth for once. His tone shifted again, now openly threatening. You do this, and you'll never see Amanda again. Is that what you want? To lose your only daughter over money? The old Imogene might have faltered at this threat. The new one, born of humiliation and betrayal, stood firm. That would be Amanda's choice to make, not yours. And it wouldn't be over money, Tyler. It would be over respect, honesty, and how families should treat each other. I ended the call and handed the phone back to a stunned Amanda. Mom, I don't understand. How could all this be happening without me knowing? I reached across the table and took her hand. Amanda, how much do you actually know about your household finances? Do you see the bills, the bank statements? Do you know your credit score, your debt load, your monthly obligations? She shook her head slowly. Tyler says he has it covered, that I should focus on other things. That's how financial control begins, I said gently. One partner handling everything, the other kept in the dark. I've seen it dozens of times in my career. But why would he need to control our finances? We're partners. We're happy. I hesitated, choosing my words carefully. Are you happy, Amanda? Truly? Or are you playing a role you think you should play? She didn't answer immediately, which was an answer in itself. Finally, she whispered, I'm pregnant. The words hung in the air between us. My first reaction was joy, quickly tempered by concern. Oh, Amanda, when did you find out? 2 weeks ago. I haven't told anyone but Tyler. She looked up, tears in her eyes. He says we need your financial support more than ever now. For the baby's future. Anger flared in me. Not at Amanda, but at Tyler's manipulation. Using an unborn grandchild as financial leverage was a new low. Amanda, listen to me carefully. A baby is wonderful news. But it doesn't change the fundamental problems here. In fact, it makes it more important that you understand your true financial situation. Tyler says we're going to convert the home office into a nursery. He's already talking about expensive renovations, a designer crib, one of those smart baby monitors. She looked down at the second mortgage statement again. But if we're already this far in debt, her phone dinged with a text. She glanced at it, her expression hardening. He says he's coming over here. Now. I nodded, strangely calm. Good. It's time we all had an honest conversation. Amanda looked at me with new eyes, seeing perhaps for the first time in years not just her mother but the woman who had navigated her own successful career, who had made difficult decisions, who had strength she had forgotten. "Mom, I'm scared," she admitted. "Not of Tyler, but of what all this means. If what you're saying is true, everything I thought about our life together is a lie." I squeezed her hand. "Not everything, sweetheart, but enough that we need to bring the truth into the light. For you, for the baby, and for all of us." We sat in silence then, holding hands across the kitchen table, waiting for the confrontation that would change all our lives. Tyler arrived 30 minutes later, his silver BMW parking behind Amanda's car. Through the window, I watched him straighten his tie, check his reflection in the car window, and plaster on a confident smile before approaching the house. The performance was beginning. Amanda opened the door before he could knock. "We're in the kitchen," she said, her voice steadier than I expected. Tyler entered like he owned the space, looking around with that assessing gaze I had first noticed years ago. He wore his corporate armor, the expensive suit and gleaming watch that projected success. "Imogene." He nodded coolly in my direction before turning to Amanda. "Let's go home and discuss this privately, honey." Amanda didn't move from her seat beside me. "I think we need to talk here. All three of us." His expression flickered, surprise quickly masked. "This is between you and me, Amanda. Family business." "Mom is family," Amanda replied. "And apparently she's been paying our mortgage for 6 years without my knowledge." Tyler sighed dramatically, pulling out a chair across from us. "I was trying to protect you from financial stress. You know how anxious you get about money. Imogene and I had an understanding. Did that understanding include taking out a second mortgage I knew nothing about?" Amanda pushed the statement toward him. "Or these casino charges." Tyler's mask slipped for a moment, genuine alarm crossing his features before he recovered. "Where did you get those? Have you been going through my private papers?" "They were misdirected to my address," I explained calmly. "But that's hardly the point, Tyler. The point is, you've been deceiving Amanda about our financial arrangements, and apparently about your gambling as well." "Gambling? That's ridiculous. That charge was for a client dinner at the restaurant in the casino hotel. I can expense it." He turned to Amanda, voice softening. "Sweetheart, your mother is creating problems where none exist. Yes, she's helped us with the mortgage. I told you that. And yes, I took out a second mortgage, but it was for investments that will secure our future. Our baby's future." Amanda's jaw tightened. "Stop manipulating me, Tyler. I want to see all our financial records. Every account, every debt, every investment." Now, Tyler's charm vanished, replaced by cold anger. "You don't give me orders, Amanda. I've built everything we have while you play at your part-time job. Without me, you'd be living in some apartment, still asking Mommy for spending money." The cruel words hung in the air. Amanda flinched but held her ground. "My part-time status was your idea. You said we didn't both need full careers, that one of us should focus on our home life. Because that's what's best for us. For our image, our future." I interjected quietly. "Is gambling also best for your future, Tyler?" He slammed his hand on the table, making both of us jump. "There is no gambling problem. This is all a misunderstanding that you're blowing out of proportion." "Then prove it," Amanda challenged. "Show me our complete financial picture. If everything's as you say, I'll apologize to both of you." Tyler stood up, straightening his suit jacket. "I don't have time for this drama. I have a meeting with Harold Winters in an hour that I can't miss. We'll discuss this tonight, Amanda, at home." "I'm staying here tonight," Amanda said firmly. "I need time to think." Tyler's face darkened. "Fine. Have your little rebellion. But remember, Imogene can't support you like I can. She's already admitted she's running out of money. Think about our baby before you make any rash decisions." With that parting shot, he left, the front door slamming behind him. Amanda and I sat in silence for several moments, processing what had just happened. Finally, she whispered, He didn't deny the second mortgage, or really explain the casino charges. No, he didn't. I agreed softly. What do I do now, Mom? If I can't trust Tyler with our finances, what else can't I trust him with? I considered my words carefully. First, you need information. Real, documented information about your financial situation. Then you can make informed decisions. Amanda nodded slowly. Can you help me? You understand all this better than I do. Of course, sweetheart. We'll figure this out together. Over the next 3 days, Amanda stayed with me while we undertook a financial archaeology expedition. She called their bank and discovered she was indeed co-owner of their accounts, though she had never received statements or online access. With her authorization, we obtained records of all transactions for the past year. The picture that emerged was worse than I had imagined. The second mortgage money had indeed gone to investments as Tyler claimed, but they were high-risk options and speculative stocks that had mostly lost value. Regular withdrawals of cash, often $2,000 or $3,000 at a time, had no clear purpose but coincided with Tyler's business trips to cities with casinos. Their credit card debt, spread across 6 different cards, totaled nearly $70,000. 2 of the cards were in Amanda's name but had been opened without her knowledge or consent, using her social security number and electronic signature. That's identity theft, I pointed out gently. Even when it's your spouse. Amanda looked pale but determined as we worked through each revelation. On the 3rd day, she received a call from Meridian Financial that changed everything. Mrs. Harper? This is Diane Lewis from HR at Meridian. We've been trying to reach your husband without success. It's urgent that we speak with him regarding some account irregularities that have been flagged. Amanda put the call on speaker. What kind of irregularities? Diane hesitated. I'm not at liberty to share details, but it involves client accounts Mr. Harper manages. The compliance department needs to speak with him immediately. After ending the call, Amanda looked at me with wide eyes. Do you think he's been stealing from client accounts? The question hung heavy between us. Before I could answer, Amanda's phone chimed with a text message from a number I didn't recognize. Amanda, it's Rachel from the office. Call me as soon as possible. It's about Tyler. With shaking hands, Amanda returned the call. Rachel? What's going on? I could hear only Amanda's side of the conversation, but her expressions told the story. Confusion, shock, disgust, and finally, a cold anger I had never seen on my daughter's face before. How long have you known? I see. No, I had no idea. Yes, that explains a lot, actually. Thank you for telling me. She ended the call and sat motionless for several seconds. Amanda? What is it? She looked up, eyes brimming with tears but voice steady. That was Rachel Winters, Harold Winters' daughter. She and Tyler have been having an affair for 2 years. She thought I knew, that we had some kind of arrangement. A bitter laugh escaped her. She's the reason for his promotions. Her father doesn't know about their relationship. The final piece of the puzzle clicked into place. Tyler's meteoric rise hadn't been due to exceptional talent but to his relationship with the boss's daughter. The lavish lifestyle, the gambling, the endless need for more money, all built on a foundation of lies. Amanda stood up suddenly, wrapping her arms around herself. I want to see our house. There are things I need to get. Documents in Tyler's home office I need to find. I grabbed my car keys. I'll drive you. The house was empty when we arrived, no sign of Tyler's car. Amanda moved with purpose, heading straight to the home office that was slated to become a nursery. She knew exactly what she was looking for, pulling out a hidden key to unlock the bottom drawer of Tyler's desk. Inside were more financial records, including statements from an offshore account I had never known about. But most damning was a folder containing documents with clearly forged client signatures, authorizing transfers that had never been requested. He's been stealing, Amanda whispered, horror in her voice, using his client's money to cover his gambling losses. As we were gathering the documents, the front door opened. Tyler stood in the doorway of the office, his appearance shocking. His perfect suit was rumpled, hair disheveled, eyes bloodshot. What are you doing? He demanded, swaying slightly. The smell of alcohol reached us even across the room. Amanda stood tall, documents in hand. Finding the truth. Meridian is looking for you, Tyler. Something about account irregularities? Fear flashed across his face. That's nothing. A misunderstanding. Like your relationship with Rachel Winters? Another misunderstanding? He paled visibly. Who told you about Rachel? She did. Seems she thought I knew, that I was okay with my husband sleeping with the boss's daughter for promotions. Tyler took a step forward. Amanda, baby. It's not what you think. Rachel meant nothing. It was just business. Amanda laughed, a harsh sound with no humor. Business. Is that what you call identity theft too? Opening credit cards in my name? Or embezzlement? She held up the forged documents. How long before Meridian figures this out, Tyler? Or have they already? Tyler lunged for the papers, but I stepped between them. Don't, I said firmly. It's over, Tyler. The lies, the manipulation, all of it. His face contorted with rage. This is your fault, he spat at me. You turned her against me. We were happy until you interfered. We weren't happy, Amanda said quietly. I was just too blind to see it. Or too afraid. But I'm not afraid anymore. Tyler's phone rang. Harold Winters' name lighting up the screen. Tyler stared at it, then at the documents in Amanda's hand, panic replacing anger. Give me those papers, Amanda. Now. No. She stepped back. You need to answer for what you've done. You stupid bitch, he hissed. I gave you everything, and this is how you repay me? By ruining me? I had never felt such cold fury as I did hearing those words directed at my daughter. You ruined yourself, Tyler, through lies, theft, and betrayal. His phone kept ringing. With a final look of desperation, Tyler turned and fled the house. We heard his car start and peel away down the street. Amanda slowly sank into Tyler's desk chair, the documents still clutched in her hands. What do I do now, Mom? I knelt beside her, taking her hands in mine. First, we call Meridian and tell them what we've found. Then we call the police. Then we get you a good lawyer. But most importantly, we start rebuilding your life. Together. She nodded, tears streaming down her face but determination in her eyes. Together. The weeks following Tyler's departure were a blur of legal meetings, financial disclosures, and emotional reckonings. Tyler had fled to Atlantic City, where police arrested him 3 days later, broke and desperate after a final gambling binge. The charges against him mounted quickly. Embezzlement from client accounts, identity theft, fraud, and financial exploitation. Harold Winters personally called Amanda to apologize, both for his daughter's involvement and for not recognizing Tyler's financial crimes sooner. We've launched a full investigation, he assured her. No clients will lose their investments. The company's insurance will cover the losses. Amanda moved back into my house, into her old bedroom that I had preserved more out of inertia than expectation she would ever return. At 4 months pregnant, her small baby bump was becoming visible, a reminder of the new life that would emerge from this wreckage. I want to keep the baby, she told me one evening as we sat in the garden, but I'm terrified of doing this alone. I took her hand, feeling the weight of her wedding ring, which she still wore despite everything. You're not alone, Amanda. You have me. And you have more strength than you realize. The divorce proceedings began while Tyler awaited trial. His assets frozen, his reputation destroyed. He offered no resistance to Amanda's terms. With the help of a forensic accountant, we discovered the true extent of their financial situation. The house was essentially underwater due to the second mortgage. Their credit was ruined, and retirement accounts had been emptied. I have nothing, Amanda said one night, breaking down in tears. No home, no savings, a baby on the way, and a name associated with a financial criminal. I held her while she cried, remembering how I had felt after Henry died, that same sense of a future suddenly erased and needing to be rewritten from scratch. You have your education, I reminded her, your intelligence, your work experience, and now You have painful but valuable wisdom about trust and self-reliance. Summer turned to fall. Amanda found a job as a communications director for a nonprofit organization that didn't care about her association with Tyler. The position offered health insurance, crucial for the baby's arrival in January, and flexibility for a new mother. It paid less than her previous corporate role but provided something more valuable: meaningful work and colleagues who respected her. We sold most of the furniture from her house with Tyler, the tangible symbols of their false prosperity. The house itself went into foreclosure, but Amanda's lawyer negotiated with the banks to release her from future liability, given the circumstances of the second mortgage and Tyler's crimes. Tyler pleaded guilty to reduced charges in exchange for his testimony against a wider gambling and money laundering operation the authorities had been tracking. He was sentenced to 8 years in prison, with the possibility of parole after 5. Amanda attended the sentencing hearing, not for reconciliation but for closure. He looked small, she told me afterward. Not the powerful, confident man I thought I married. Just a scared, selfish boy in an expensive suit. As Amanda's due date approached, we converted my home office into a nursery, using simple, practical furniture instead of the designer pieces Tyler had envisioned. Amanda insisted on contributing from her salary, establishing new patterns of financial independence and mutual respect between us. "I need to know I can stand on my own," she explained. "For too long, I let others make decisions for me, convince me of what I wanted or needed." On a snowy January morning, Amanda gave birth to a healthy baby girl whom she named Harriet, after my Henry. I stood by her side throughout the labor, witnessing my daughter's strength and determination in bringing new life into the world. "She's perfect," Amanda whispered, holding tiny Harriet against her chest. "And she deserves a mother who can teach her to be strong, independent, and honest." "I want to be that mother, even though I don't know exactly how yet." "You learn by doing," I told her, remembering my own early days of motherhood. "By making mistakes and fixing them. By putting her needs first, but not forgetting your own." Spring arrived, bringing with it Harriet's first smiles and the final resolution of Amanda's divorce. With the legal entanglements behind her and a routine established with the baby, Amanda began exploring her next steps. "I want to go back to school," she announced one evening, "to get my MBA. I've been accepted to the weekend program at State University." Pride swelled in my heart. "That's wonderful, Amanda. But how will you manage with work and Harriet?" She smiled, confidence returning to her face. "I've worked it all out. Classes are weekends, when the daycare at my office is closed. I was hoping, maybe you could watch Harriet those days? Not every weekend. I know you have your own life, but I would be honored," I interrupted. "Nothing would make me happier than spending time with my granddaughter while her mother builds a better future for them both." By summer, our new normal had taken shape. Amanda worked full-time and attended classes 2 weekends a month. I watched Harriet during those times, treasuring the grandmother-granddaughter bond that was forming. The rest of my time I devoted to rebuilding my own life, reconnecting with old friends, taking a part-time consulting position with a local bank, and even dating occasionally, something I hadn't considered since Henry died. One warm June evening, as Amanda and I sat on the patio watching Harriet play on a blanket in the grass, Amanda turned to me with serious eyes. "Mom, I owe you an apology. Not just for Tyler and the money, but for how I treated you for years before that. I let him come between us. I accepted his narrative about you, about our relationship. I was so desperate to believe in the life he promised that I sacrificed the most important relationship I already had." Tears pricked my eyes. "Oh, Amanda, we both made mistakes. I should have been more direct about the financial support instead of enabling a situation that wasn't healthy for any of us." She shook her head. "You were trying to help, to show love the way you knew how. I was the one who took it for granted, who stood by while he humiliated you publicly." I reached for her hand. "That night at the promotion party was painful, yes. But in a strange way, I'm grateful for it now. It forced me to see the truth and find my own strength again. And it led us here, to this new beginning." Harriet squealed with delight as a butterfly landed briefly on her blanket, oblivious to the adult conversation, but somehow embodying its essence. The joy of new discoveries after difficult transformations. 6 months later, Amanda was thriving in her program, her professors impressed by her insights and work ethic. I had expanded my consulting role and was considering writing a book about financial literacy for women, inspired by Amanda's experience and my own professional background. On a crisp fall afternoon, we received an unexpected letter. It was from Tyler, writing from prison. Amanda read it silently, her expression unreadable, then handed it to me. In careful handwriting, Tyler had penned an apology of sorts, acknowledging his crimes if not the full extent of his emotional cruelty. He asked nothing of Amanda, made no promises about the future, simply expressed remorse for the pain he had caused and his hope that Harriet would be raised with better values than he had demonstrated. "Do you believe him?" Amanda asked as I finished reading. I considered the question carefully. I believe he regrets being caught, losing his freedom and status. Whether he truly understands the deeper harm he caused, I can't say. But it doesn't really matter now, does it? Your life and Harriet's aren't defined by him anymore. Amanda nodded, taking the letter back and placing it in a folder. I'll keep this for Harriet, for when she's older and has questions. But our story isn't about Tyler anymore. It's about us, about rebuilding with dignity. That evening, as we prepared dinner together, Amanda moving confidently around the kitchen with Harriet on her hip, I reflected on the journey of the past year and a half. From public humiliation at a corporate party to this moment of quiet domestic harmony, we had traveled through betrayal and loss to reach a place of authentic connection and mutual respect. The mortgage check I canceled that Monday morning after the party had been more than a financial transaction. It had been the first step in reclaiming my self-worth, in teaching my daughter that love doesn't mean enabling harmful behavior, and in creating space for honest relationships built on mutual respect rather than exploitation. As we sat down to eat, Harriet secure in her high chair between us, Amanda raised her glass of water in a toast. To you, Mom, for having the courage to say, enough, when it would have been easier to keep the peace. You taught me that true love requires truth and boundaries, not just sacrifice. And that's a lesson I promised to pass on to Harriet. I clinked my glass against hers, heart full. And to you, for having the strength to rebuild with dignity. That's the greatest gift you can give your daughter, showing her that women can face hard truths, stand on their own, and still choose love and connection over bitterness. Looking at my daughter and granddaughter, I knew with certainty that the most valuable legacy we leave isn't financial wealth, but the example we set through our choices, especially in our darkest moments. By refusing to continue subsidizing disrespect, I had opened the door to something far more precious. Authentic relationship based on mutual respect and genuine care. Sometimes, the kindest thing we can do for those we love is to stop enabling destructive patterns, even when it causes short-term pain. And sometimes, the greatest act of self-love is setting boundaries that teach others how we deserve to be treated. These were the lessons embedded in our story, the wisdom earned through difficult experience that would guide Harriet's upbringing and our family's future. Have you ever had to make a difficult choice between keeping the peace and standing up for yourself? I hope our story helps you find the courage to choose dignity and self-respect, even when it's the harder path. If it resonated with you, please consider liking this video, subscribing to hear more stories of transformation, and sharing with someone who might need encouragement to set healthy boundaries in their own relationships. Thank you for listening to our journey, and I wish you strength and wisdom in navigating your own.